welcome to another episode of Some of Our Parts, the podcast where two friends talk about the movies that add up to make us who we are. I'm Lindsay,
And I'm Jim.
and this week Jim picked a movie. So Jim, tell us what you had us watch.
Well, once again, I've gone back in the annals of time, and then this came out. My movie came out in 1977, the height of my getting out of college and getting ready to go out in the world. And this was one of those movies where this was the big date movie, a big date movie for
Mm-hmm.
the year. So it was when one you took, your significant other, girlfriend, or whatever you want to call it, to, and it was The Goodbye Girl with Richard Dreyfuss and Marsha Mason.
Nice,
Yep.
nice.
So it was one of those movies. It's a romance, rom
Mm-hmm.
com, I guess you would call it, but
Mm-hmm.
it was one of those movies where you didn't go with your buddies to go see this movie. This wasn't one of those, but you took this is the one where you went out on a date on Saturday night or Friday night, and you were trying to show that you had some you just didn't go in for either movies about westerns or science fiction or monsters. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so had you seen the movie?
I had not. I think I might have heard of it. Like I'd heard the
Mm-hmm.
name before, but I was not really familiar with it or what it was about. And
Oh,
so
okay.
this was the when I like looked it up, I know who Neil Simon was, but this was the first time I'd ever watched it. And obviously, like I know who Richard Dreyfuss is too. Like we've talked about him previously on the podcast, and he's actually in like a movie on my list that came out in
Mm,
the '90s when I was a kid. So like familiar with him for sure, but
yeah.
not really anybody else in it.
Not Marsha Mason had not because I know she's done some things. Well, not recently because she's up there, but she did a few. This I think this was the beginning or sort of kind of her movie career. And then I know she did some TV later on in her career because I think she's in her 80s now.
Yeah. Well, I read that she was on Frasier a little bit. But I don't know that I was like that. I like watched Frasier when I was a kid, but and she's
Mm-hmm.
been on some other things, but not really stuff that I'd
Oh,
like.
okay.
She was on Grace and Frankie and like The Good Wife, Madam Secretary. Those just aren't things that I have
No, I
watched.
watched both The Good Wife and Madam Secretary. I was a fan of those shows, so I
Mm-hmm.
remember seeing her on those. But and I remember seeing her in her first movie, I think it was, which was Cinderella Liberty with James Caan.
Mm.
So, which I believe she was nominated for an Academy Award for that, if I'm not mistaken. So, um,
Yes.
but anyway, so yeah, so again, going back to my young adulthood, I guess is trying to learn how to be an adult and learn how to sort of interact with people. And that's one of the things because even my wife asked me, because I was rewatching the movie, and she goes, well, what makes this movie stick out? And a couple of things, but Richard Dreyfuss's performance for one, but the other one was the fact that this was when you sort of, at my age, I was 20, I was starting to learn to try to figure out how you interact with people of the opposite sex,
Mm-hmm.
how to in a more adult way, so to speak. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like just being, oh, you're pretty, you're attractive, or or whatever. It's seeing other qualities in a person, and a relationship that develops as opposed to one that's
Mm-hmm.
just, oh gosh, gosh, you're so good looking, or boy, I'd like to take you out, and but then never see you again. This
Yeah.
has the beginnings, or the it talks about a long term relationship, so to speak, a more adult relationship. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and maybe that sounds kind of odd coming from a person, but I grew up in a small town, and then a lot of the stuff was shaped by either people that you knew or stuff that you saw or
Mm-hmm.
what you read. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that that's fair, and I think that like for better or worse, a lot of stuff does come from like these kind of things, right? Like people get the idea of what's romantic from
mm,
romantic comedies and
yeah,
that kind of stuff. So I think that that makes sense totally. And I think, it's a very common romantic comedy trope of the sort of like enemies to lovers kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
People don't get along, and then they somehow grow on each other over
Yeah,
time,
like
and
mold.
then yeah, I was gonna say like a fungus.
You can see that Lindsay and I think a lot alike on some
Yeah,
subjects. So.
yeah, but yeah, I think that that's like always like I like romantic comedies a lot. As sometimes they can be like cheesier and cornier, formulaic or whatever, but like I think part of the reason why they're formulaic is because it's a formula that works. Like it's
Yeah.
a satisfying thing. And I think like listen, it's heightened and it's exaggerated, but I do think there is something to it where it's like maybe you do meet someone like this isn't how like this has never happened to me, but like well actually no. I remember like in middle school there was like a boy I had a crush on and we just like antagonized each other all the time. But to some extent what I mean again we were like 12, but like to some extent, what I liked about him was that he was challenging to me.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
right? Because I was like the smartest kid in class. And so people just kind of like sometimes took what I said as gospel. And he was like, well, no, he was like wrong. And he was arguing for the sake of argument. But I think to some extent that was like a more interesting quality than people who just like agreed with me all the time. So I think that there is something to that of like, well, what do they say? Like, there's a thin line between love and hate,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Is
So,
you do care about like she like the characters Paula is like thinking about Elliot a lot, right?
mhm,
She's not indifferent to him at the
right.
beginning.
Yeah,
And I think eventually that does can like evolve into something, especially because then eventually you see like the sort of human qualities of this other person and the vulnerabilities of the other person. I think that in this movie is like the big thing, the big catalyst for them is seeing those vulnerabilities and
agreed.
also the innocence of a child, just being like, I think he's cute.
Well, and then also sometimes, yeah, the innocence of a child, and sometimes out of the mouths of babes,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes
The
it's like
she's perceptive.
very and has no filter.
Mm-hmm.
There's no oh well, you shouldn't say these things or you should say this. It's like she just says what's on her mind, and
Mm-hmm.
which is a good thing. But
Yeah.
to go back to your point, yeah, the thin line between love and hate. Yeah, to me, it's like if you didn't care about someone, you don't hate them. You just don't care.
Right.
You're apathetic.
Yeah. You're
You
like
know,
indifferent.
yeah. That it doesn't even register with me whether you're happy or whatever. That
Mm-hmm.
or that you're mad at me. I don't care.
Right. Like I don't think about you at all.
Exactly. Yeah, I just dismiss that. So, but to me, that's worse than like saying someone saying I hate you. So,
Yeah, yeah, agreed. But yeah, I think that this is like so many of I like to read like rom-com books too. So many of them, so many movies, right? Like Pride and Prejudice is kind of a similar
it
thing, right? It's
perfect,
these two
perfect.
people who don't like each other but really like also think about each other very constantly. And then by the end they're like, "Oh wait, like you're actually like secretly a good person under all that." So,
Yeah, they're like they're
I didn't realize that you are actually a good person.
actually a good person. Yeah, and and sometimes people, yeah, are good people and stuff, but they don't go around announcing it all the time.
Mhm.
Or
Mhm.
the real heroes, so to speak, to me, are the ones that you never hear about.
Mhm. Mhm.
That someone does something really nice or really good for someone, but no one ever knows who it was or why they did it or whatever it may be. And then if pressed, they no, they just either downplay or just don't elaborate on it. So
Yeah, yeah. That was like Mr. Darcy, right? Like he did all that stuff but didn't tell anybody. And I
exactly.
think in this movie, it's not necessarily that case, but it is a series of like a lot of small things that are like easy things to do, but also still like meaningful.
Exactly.
And
So
I think too, part of the enemies to lovers thing is I think getting off on the wrong foot, which happens here, right? Because sometimes it's just you meet somebody and it's just not the right day, not the right circumstance, and somebody's in a bad mood, and it's like, oh wow. this
Yeah.
person, I don't like them at all. And then it's like, oh, okay, that was just like they were not at their best that day.
And maybe you're not at your best either. Maybe that it
Hmm.
could, like this. Yeah, the movie sort of points that out. That it's not a good time for either person. So,
Not at all. Yeah,
as
they're
as I'm sure Lindsay will elaborate on when we get into the plot of the movie. So,
they're both struggling a little bit.
just a touch. There's some stressors going on here.
Hmm. Hmm. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought that the actors were good. I agree. I think you had said that Richard Dreyfuss is the best part for you. I think,
To me, he was.
yeah, I really enjoyed the kid, Quinn Cummings, or she plays Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I really enjoyed her because I think that those child actors aren't always like good, but I think she managed to be like super funny, but like it felt very authentic. Like she was still a kid, but like a very funny kid who could like
Yeah.
deliver
So
a line.
and seemed to be, yeah, not someone playing a kid. I mean, even though she
Hmm.
is a child, but yeah, just like you could sit there and go, oh yeah, that's how a kid or a 10-year-old kid would say or be or do. So
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, and listen, Marsha Mason, she was good too. I liked her outfits. She had great clothes.
she did. So yeah, we're Elliot dressed. Sorry, Richard Dreyfuss, his character Elliot. I think dressed typically like most of us did in the '70s. It was
Hmm.
a I had an Army field jacket just like he did. I think
Hmm.
because we had Army and Navy surplus stores all the time, and then
Hmm.
if you couldn't go into a store, a nice men's store, and buy a nice winter coat or whatever, that's what you ended up buying, and that's
Hmm.
I had one. So and in addition to a couple of sweaters and a sweatshirt and everything else that he owned. Well, he was from Chicago, his character
Yeah,
was.
that's
So,
true. Very cold.
which very cold and very windy. So,
Hmm.
I liked his glasses. His glasses were very 70s, by the way. The
Hmm.
rimless, which are now that you can get those now, but I remember that was a big deal back then because I've worn glasses all my life, but I remember having in the 70s I had a pair of rimless glasses, so that was
Ooh.
oh yeah, that you had to be ultra chic or ultra cool. So
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
not really, but that's what you saw in the magazines and on TV. So that's what I wanted. And
Mm.
my parents were nice enough when I needed a new pair of glasses. I got those. So
Nice, nice. But yeah, Paula, which is Marsha Mason's character, had some very nice like jackets and like skirts
mm-hmm.
and boots that
Yeah,
she was
yeah,
wearing
yeah. Very,
that
yeah,
were
very smartly put together. So
hmm
even
hmm
when she wore jeans, she looked all yeah, all together.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, the movie was directed by Herbert Ross, who we have met him before because he also directed Steel Magnolias.
Mm. Which I
He,
did not know until you brought that you mentioned that.
yeah,
So,
I didn't know until I was like pulling the information for this today.
which is kind of cool if you think about it. I mean, that's
Yeah, yeah. So going on the list.
yeah, a
Uh,
frequent flyer,
yes,
a
yes.
repeater.
I think Steven Spielberg is probably still in the lead, but Herbert Ross could catch up.
Could.
He also directed The Turning Point, Footloose, Goodbye Mr. Chips, The Owl and the Pussycat, Play It Again Sam, Funny Lady.
Oh, okay. So he's done. Yeah, I've seen all of those. Those are all good movies. I
Hmm.
think. I mean,
Hmm.
I think
Let's see. Pennies from Heaven.
the one with
Uh,
Steve Martin. I'm guessing. And
yeah, it's from 1981. So
yeah. Hmm.
he also later in his life was married to Lee Radziwill for about 13
Really,
years.
did not
From
know that.
1988 to 2001.
That's interesting.
Yeah. At the time of
Huh.
this movie, he was married to Nora Kay, who was she was a ballerina, which I guess is
Okay.
how he ended up doing Turning Point. That would make sense.
Sounds. Yep. Sounds about right.
Because he did Turning Point like at the same time as this, because it was
Hmm.
nominated for Oscars the same year. So he was all over the Oscars that year. Uh,
Evidently. So yeah, look at him being
mhm,
Mr. Not only Mr. popular, but also Mr. Artistic too.
Yeah.
So
Well, he was also a choreographer, I guess. He's known for his work on Broadway as a choreographer for productions for Barbra Streisand, Stephen Sondheim, Richard Rodgers, and Arthur Lawrence.
good gracious, good
So
gracious.
he was nominated for a Tony for his choreography in the 60s. So
He,
I guess maybe he did that kind of, and that led him into this work. So I wonder if, because Paul is a dancer in the movie. So I
right,
wonder if he,
exactly.
like, did he choreograph the
I know
scenes
some
where
of the
she's
routines
auditioning?
could very well be. So, and
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken, I think Marcia was a dancer. Marcia Mason was
Yes.
a
I read that
dancer, correct?
she had done Broadway as
Broadway.
well.
So,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know what she'd done, but
Yeah.
I
These
did
people
read that
must
that
have
was
all just like, I guess all these Broadway people just hung out, right? Because
probably
it was like,
Neil Simon, you know.
right, yeah, because that's what I was gonna say. Leading into the writer of this movie,
Oh, sorry,
also a
sorry.
Broadway person. No, no, no. You teed up. Neil Simon wrote this. Neil Simon, I think, is one of the like. You don't always know the names of the writers of things. Neil
Mm-hmm.
Simon is one that you know.
Right. If you mention
He's
his name, the Odd Couple. That's the one that comes to mind for me
yeah,
foremost. But he
and
also did the Biloxi Blues, the
mm-hmm,
trilogy.
mm-hmm. Barefoot in the Park, and some of these were both started as plays and then became movies.
Movies.
Like The
Yeah.
Odd Couple, for example,
Right.
was a play, and then also movies with Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Um,
And the long
so
running TV series.
yes, yes. And then it was like remade and all this stuff. But at the time, also Neil Simon was married to Marcia Mason. Uh, so
Gee, I wonder if she had to audition for this movie.
yeah, that's what I wonder. But then I'm like, were these people all just like hanging out and like talking? Because it's like you've got Herbert Ross and his wife are Broadway people, and then Neil Simon and Marcia Mason are Broadway people. And it's like all these people just like kind of
Yeah,
living in the
sort of
same
get together.
orbit.
The only one that is not in that like talent pool, you would say, is Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah.
Who was primarily a movie actor as opposed,
Hmm.
not being on stage. So, but yeah, it sounds like that might very well be it. That that they were all talking and they came up with this idea. And
Yeah. Yeah. I will say Neil Simon too, he got started in radio programs and early television shows such as Sid Caesar's Your Show of Shows.
shows.
Sid Caesar we talked about on the Grease episode. He's the coach in Grease. But yeah, so Your Show of Shows in 1950, kind of a, little known figures, Neil Simon, Carl Reiner, Mel Brooks, Woody Allen. So yeah, it was,
That
a few people.
they
Selma Diamond, who joined like the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Well, and then she was the bailiff, the original bailiff on Night Court.
Mm-hmm. Larry Gelbart, who did he created the MASH TV show. So yeah, like, a few people who did some things.
It's a shame none of them ever amounted to anything. It's like,
Right. Right. Yeah.
gee,
But
what else have you done? Well,
yeah. And we were talking before we started recording that I think it's evident that Neil Simon is a playwright in this movie. And I think, again, if that makes sense too, if Herbert Ross was doing stuff on Broadway, because I think in many ways it does. The dialogue feels like a play because it's a lot of, and I guess this is maybe typical of Neil Simon, but it's a lot of quick dialogue, kind of overlapping dialogue. People are sort of stepping on each other's lines, which is how people talk in real life. And
exactly.
then the sort of like blocking of it, because really most of it is just these three people in this apartment, which really feels like a play, right? Because usually it's like you only have so many sets, so people are kind of in one spot, like moving around, and just like the way that like they move through the space feels like a play, feels like the blocking in a play a little bit. So I think
Yeah,
it,
I would. When you brought that up, I hadn't thought about that until you said that, and yeah, it does make sense that if you
yeah.
thought about it, you could see this on stage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just
It,
remember thinking like when he and like we'll talk about details later, but like when he first moves in and she's like following him into the room and then like into the next room and like all like that feels like
hmm
what would happen in a play, kind of. before we get into the movie, this movie was nominated for 5 Oscars, won one. So it won for Best Actor for Richard Dreyfuss, who was at the time the youngest Best Actor winner. That record was broken by Adrian Brody in 2002 when he won for The Pianist. But it was also nominated for Best Picture, Best Actress for Marsha Mason, Best Supporting Actress for Quinn Cummings, who was like 10 at the time, and Best Original Screenplay by Neil Simon. Although that category had a different name at the time that was like 10 words long. So I'm just saying Best Original Screenplay because that's
Oh,
what we
oh,
call it now.
okay.
It's like best screenplay that wasn't written for anything else, but it was written for the like it was just like it's a run-on sentence. So I'm not saying all that. It's written directly for the screen based on factual material or on story material not previously published or produced. It's best original screenplay, is what that
Wonder if
is.
that's on the statue. It's like all that.
It just gets like
Yeah.
it's like the fine print at the bottom of like a pharmaceutical commercial. Like you
You,
can't read it.
you need a magnifying glass to see. What'd you win this one for? Well, here's here's my Sherlock Holmes magnifying glass. Take a
Yeah.
look at.
But yeah, so it was also the first romantic comedy to earn $100 million in box office grosses. You know what?
Well,
That's how I
that's
heard of this
saying
movie.
something.
Yeah.
When you think about it,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That just reminded me that's how I've heard of this movie because I have a book about writing romantic comedies and
Yeah.
it has a list of like famous romantic comedies kind of throughout the different eras of movies. And I made a list of ones I hadn't seen and this was on that list. So I checked it
So
off.
so of all the romantic movies that this is the first one to reach $100 million in box office.
Yes, first romantic comedy.
That's what first romantic. That's
Earn
really when
100
you
million in box office grosses.
this movie came out in 1977, so I mean there'd
Mhm.
been romantic comedies
Yeah,
before
like you
then,
think of all those like Katharine Hepburn movies and like
right? Like yeah, with Spencer Tracy and
right,
stuff,
like isn't like Bringing Up Baby and like
right? Yeah, with
I don't know,
Cary
is the
Grant and
Philadelphia Story, would they count that as like a romantic comedy? And
I would think so, yeah.
yeah, so
But
like those movies. But I guess
Woman of the Year, and then
mm-hmm.
the and a lot of those other ones. But yeah, Father of the Bride with Spencer Tracy and Elizabeth
Yeah,
Taylor.
yes. But yeah, so that is hard to believe, but I guess I don't know, maybe those were just like smaller generally because like less people were seeing movies at the box. I don't know.
I don't know, but I mean, up until like the big blockbusters, was it Gone with the Wind still the biggest box office, movie for the longest time? And that came out in
Hmm.
1939. And I'm not saying that
Yeah.
romantic comedies were on the scale of that, but I would have thought, well, maybe, maybe not. Maybe people just didn't shell out the money. Of course, tickets were a lot cheaper back then too.
Hmm.
But e- I can attest to this. Listen, I didn't have, two nickels to rub together as far as that goes. When I was 20 years old, I was going to school and I was working part-time, but if I paid $5 for a movie ticket, that was a lot of money back then. I'm just saying.
Hmm.
So,
Now I wish I could pay $5 for a movie ticket.
exactly. So, but I mean, and I don't even think it would have been that much, for
Yeah.
maybe, but anyway, so yeah, that's saying something. $100 million.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's pretty good. So at the box office, more no
Yeah.
less. So
Hmm.
because because it would have come out on VHS, at some
Hmm.
point a little bit later on, after 77 or Beta, Betamax. So how
Yeah.
about that?
So,
Two things I learned about this movie. I didn't know the director did this in Steel Magnolias, and I didn't know it was the first comedy to make or romantic comedy to make $100 million.
yeah.
Every time we talk, I learn something new, which is a good thing. So
Yeah. Well, it's always good because I'm starting from zero on some of these movies. Well, anyways, should we talk about the movie?
let's start.
Alrighty. Well, we begin. The movie takes place in New York City, and we start with a mom and a little girl getting off the bus, and they're talking about moving to California. And I don't remember what exactly came before this, but the little girl's talking about being 4.5, and the mom says, "You were never 4.5. You were born 26." That made me laugh. So they get back to their apartment, and presumably the plan has been the mom's boyfriend. So the mom is Paula, and the daughter is Lucy. So Paula is Marsha Mason, as we've been discussing. We talked about some of her movies. She later was in Drop Dead Fred and Frasier, and then some other TV shows, like we mentioned. Lucy is played by Quinn Cummings. She was on a TV series called Family and did some other TV work around the time, but since then she's a writer and entrepreneur. They get back to the apartment, and the boyfriend, who's this actor, he's getting a job in California, and they're all going to move with him. He has left. They're like calling for him, looking around, and then they find a note. And the mom reads the note, and then she hands it to the daughter to read it. I guess to like, I don't know. Can you help me understand this? And basically, he went to Italy. He got another job offer in Italy, and he decided to go to Italy without them when they were all supposed to go to California together. And so, like, the mom, like, she doesn't have a job. Like, they were planning to move, so she doesn't have anywhere else to live. Like, it's a whole thing. And it is funny. The little girl reads the letter, and she's just asking, like, well, what does that mean? Can you tell me how to pronounce this word? Huh, that's not very nice. Like, and the mom is like, oh no. She's being so dramatic. She's like crying and like, oh, woe is me. What is happening? She's so funny. Like, the little girl says something to her about like dancing again, like she can get a job dancing. And she's like, I'm 33. I can hardly walk anymore. I was like, oh my God, I'm 35. Oh no.
And
Uh,
your physical attributes have faded to zero. So at this point, so yes.
I'm crawling around.
Mm-hmm.
And the little girl too, she was like, the mom wanted her to do homework, and she's like, well, we're moving. I don't need to do my homework. So then at this point, she's like, so since we're not going to California, that means I have to do my homework, huh? Like I said, she cracks me up. Even like in these first couple minutes, I was like, she's hilarious, this kid.
Also, like she goes, "This is the worst letter I've ever read."
Yeah.
It's like how many
How many
letters have you
letters have you
read?
read?
Yeah.
You're
So
like
it's like,
10 years old.
exactly.
And we see Paula's like, all right, I'm gonna try to make it work. She goes back to dance class. And it is struggle city for Paula. She's not doing
Brutal.
well. She's like, and she goes back, and the landlady, who I will just pause here. The landlady's name is Mrs. Crosby. She's outside, like sweeping in front of the building. She's played by an actress named Teresa Merritt. And when I saw her, I was like, I know that lady. And I know her because she's the maid in Billy Madison. If you remember, anyone who's seen Billy Madison remembers that there's like the black woman who's like the maid who like makes Billy's like lunch for school. It's the same woman. So
Good
I've
eye,
watched
because
that
her
just tells you
screen time is like 30 seconds.
I have watched Billy Madison too many times, is what that tells you. We'll get
Because
to it eventually.
okay, because it never even dawned on me, who this person was. Although I can't say I've probably seen Billy Madison twice in my entire life.
Oh my
So
God, I've seen it like 600 times. It's bad.
okay,
But yeah, the Mrs. Norris, the landlady, tells Paula, oh, by the way, Tony, I think that's the boyfriend's name,
yeah,
he sublet the apartment. So the guy is coming tonight.
right, yeah, because she asked her, "When are you all moving out?"
And she's like, I'm not moving out. And she's like, oh, well, Tony sublet the apartment to someone else. So that guy's coming.
Right.
Paula's like, well, I'm not going to leave. And she's like, okay, whatever. As long as I get paid, is kind of like her. She's like, this is none of my business. And Paula gets in there, and she's pissed at Tony. She's like ripping pictures off the wall, every pictures of the both of them. She's ripping him out, like just storming around, ripping things down and throwing them in a bag, throwing all of his stuff away. And then,
Did it seem to you like there were, well, and we sort of get the impression Tony was a narcissist, but man, there were a lot of pictures of
so
Tony,
many pictures of him hanging up.
of just
It,
him. I mean, not just
yeah,
the two of them. I mean, there were some pictures of the two of them and the three of them, but there were a lot of
mostly him.
pictures.
It was, and
My,
they were like headshots.
headshots, exactly. So it
Yeah,
was
but
like,
like tacked up on the wall.
and also he wasn't all that.
No.
And I'm only speaking from like a guy's perspective, but so I'll ask you then from
I'm
uh,
going to be honest, I don't even remember what he looked like, so it didn't make a strong impression.
to me, I tell you, he looked like the guy who played uh, the brother in Saturday Night Fever that was the priest.
Yes.
A
Mm-hmm.
little
Mm-hmm.
bit,
I see that. I was gonna say because it's like that guy slash the guy who played Wedge Antilles slash the dude in Local
yeah,
Hero. It's like
yes.
somewhere between those two people.
Yes, yes, exactly. So, I mean, just like a plain looking guy, but but anyway, so that was just because she's ripping down all these pictures, and I thought, damn, how many pictures of
There are
Tony do you
so
have?
many. She's going from room to room, and they're
Th-
covering a lot of the
a,
wall.
a lot of yeah, it's like this
It's like
is
instead of
it's
wallpaper, they just covered the walls with headshots of this
it's
man.
like a shrine of Tony. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
yeah.
gross.
Anyway,
Later that night, the subletter arrives. And it's like after midnight. He's supposed to come the next morning, but he like arrived to the city and was like, well, might as well. So we've gotten some shots of the building. I will say the building does not look very nice from the outside, but like the apartment, once you get in it, it's a pretty nice apartment.
it's not bad. It looks a little old, I guess.
Yeah.
As far as but yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not bad. And
I
then
guess I'm also thinking from the lens of now, and I'm like, this apartment would be like $4 million
well,
today.
I will say when it came out how much
He
Elliot
paid
had
$600 for like 3 months.
it, it made my wife turn around and look and go, "What?" And I said, "Well, the
Exactly.
movie's 50 years old, so just saying." So
$600 today would
to
give you like a week in
if
that apartment.
that, it might
Yeah.
get yeah, maybe. Yeah. So, but
Jeez.
anyway, yeah, so yeah.
But so he arrives. His name's Elliot Garfield, and Richard Dreyfuss. We've talked about him before. He was in Jaws, which we talked about, but he's also in American Graffiti, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. What About Bob? Stand By Me, W, Mr. Holland's Opus. That's on my list. So he's been in plenty of things. Elliot Garfield, he is ready to go in, and he's like, but he can hear someone's in the apartment. Like someone's clearly there. And so he doesn't just open the door, he like buzzes. And he's like, hey, like Tony sublet me this apartment. She's like, oh no, there's no Tony here. Nope, you can't come in. She's like, my husband will be home soon and he won't want you to be here, Mr. De Stefano or whatever she says.
Detective.
Detective. She was like, yeah, you can find him at the 33rd precinct.
Yeah,
Um,
homicide.
yes. So she's like, don't come in. And then so he goes back outside. Mind you, it is pouring rain. And it's like after midnight. The little girl's like, who is that? She's like, don't worry about it. Go to sleep. He goes out to a payphone outside and calls the apartment. And Paul is like not really thinking, and there wasn't a caller ID then. So she answers the phone. She's like, hello? And he's like, hey, you're lying. That's my place. And she's like, nope. And he has made and then she hangs up on him. He makes some calls. He calls the homicide
Yeah.
precinct and he figures out who this is. So he calls back and he's like, I know you are. Your name is Paula. You don't have a husband. There is no one by that name at the 33rd homicide precinct. I know you're there with your daughter Lucy. This is Tony's apartment. Like, I'm out of change, but you need to call me back at this payphone.
Right.
Um, and she calls back and she's still not like trying to deal with him, but he's like, listen, it is pouring rain. I'm in a phone booth that is leaking on me. I do not have any money for a hotel. Like, can you just like help me out? Just give me 5 minutes to talk. So she lets him come up to talk. She sets a timer, little kitchen timer, for 5 minutes, says you have 5 minutes. And he realizes that he kind of puts two and two together. He's like, oh, like Tony dumped her.
And
And
left her holding the bag.
yeah, but she's still trying though. She's like, yes, but we split amicably and he left me the apartment. He's like, no, he didn't.
And he does have a key. So
He does have a key.
and his key works. So yeah.
Yes. And then he says he threatens litigation, but when he says it, he says he like kind of knows.
I have a lawyer acquaintance.
I have a lawyer acquaintance, and she's like, "You're an actor. That's a line from A Streetcar Named Desire." She said something later that's almost a line from A Streetcar Named Desire because she
I,
said
I depend on the
yes, because she
kindness of
said,
strangers.
but she said like I had never trust in the kindness of strangers or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
because she
something
like
like yeah,
because I was like
like
I
Blanche
know that
Dubois.
line.
Yes, like Blanche Dubois.
I read that play, but yeah, she's
Yeah, she
like
calls him out. She says she goes,
clocked.
you're a goddamned actor. That's what she
Yes.
says.
She also at this point she's like Tony is an actor. She's done with actors. She's a strong negative bias against actors. And
Look
so
at the title
she's
of the movie, people.
yes. She says she'll leave if he buys them a ticket to California because they had a whole plan to start a life there, which obviously he can't afford. Because even though he has a job starting, it's like off Broadway.
Right.
So my man's not doing well. He doesn't have enough money to stay in a hotel that night. So certainly can't afford 2 tickets to California. But eventually, as they're talking, um, he's like, "How about this? We will share the apartment. Like you and your daughter can still stay here. I will sleep in this other room. Blah blah blah." And she's like, "Okay." She agrees really quickly, and he's
Mhm.
like surprised. I'm surprised. You know, watching it, you're surprised because she was like so adamant against him being there. But she's like, "Listen, I need to find a job, and I do not have time to stand guard at the door to keep you out. So this is fine." And then she tries to establish some rules for the apartment. Like she's like, here's what you're gonna do, here's what you're not gonna do. And then he's like, counterpoint, right now this is my apartment. I'm letting you stay here. So I'm gonna do what I want. I have trouble sleeping. I play guitar to help myself fall asleep. I wake up early in the morning to meditate, including chanting, including incense. I sleep naked, so keep your kid in the bedroom if you don't want her to have some serious questions. Like, uh, I here's where I wrote my notes too. Like I like the dialogue and it's very much like a play, which makes sense because it is like in this scene especially. This is what I'm talking about where she's sort of like they're
Because
both just sort of
he goes
walking.
from room to room.
Yes, and she's following him and then she turns around and he's following her and then
Mm-hmm.
they're talking is just like rapid fire
Mm-hmm.
overlapping a little bit because they're both just like nope, here's what we're going to do. Da 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 da. Nope, da 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 da. Nope, da 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 da. Like it's just in quick succession. So,
I had read, not recently read somewhere that this particular scene was one of the things that they said that the critics really liked and maybe possibly put him in the running for the Academy Award, where he goes into the bathroom. He goes, I don't like panties on the rod, and he
yes.
just starts taking, and he goes, and I like to cook and I'll use the kitchen when I want and all
Hmm.
this other stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, it's just so rapid fire, and it's not the quality of the dialogue, and then his delivery, and in hers too, like,
Hmm.
the back and forth. So
Yes. Yes.
the witty
Uh,
repartee.
indeed. Indeed. They have quite a tete-a-tete. So she goes to bed and she's sleeping in basically there's like what was Lucy's room, the little room that she gives to Elliot, and then she and Lucy are in like the big room with the big bed. That was hers and Tony's. And she won't kiss Lucy goodnight because she said she's angry and she doesn't want to lose it. And then, true to his word, Elliot is playing guitar in the middle of the night. To be fair, it is just like a light sort of like plucking.
Yeah,
It's kind of soothing music, which he
it
does say to her because she goes to confront him and he's like, "If you would just lay there and listen, you'd be back to sleep in like 2 minutes."
it's when I ask my Alexa to play. It's like, like sounds to fall asleep by.
Yeah. It's just some like soothing kind of like
Mm-hmm.
almost like lullaby stuff. And it's funny.
Exactly.
She's mad because she's like, "You woke up my daughter Lucy." And Lucy's like, "No, you woke me up." No, I
Yeah,
was good.
Lucy's like sound asleep. I
Yeah.
know.
And she goes to confront him. Oh, he's naked, which she's surprised by,
She,
which he did say he was going to be naked. Because
well, I
she
did.
knocked and said, "Are you decent?" And he said, "Yes." And she said, "You told me you were decent." And he was like, "I am decent. I also happen to be naked.
Yes, I'm a decent person.
Yes. And they get into it again, and she's like, take sleeping pills. And he's like, I do not like to put anything in my body. But he tells her to take two sleeping pills and stick one in each ear. And then she goes back and she's all mad, ranting to Lucy, who was already back to sleep.
Yeah, she's like,
She's fine.
she's out like a light.
Yep. And then the next morning, he's up bright and early before 6 a.m. He's chanting, he's meditating with his incense, he's in his little lotus pose. And then he's saying, like, he's trying to get calm and centered because he's starting his new play that day. He's like, is my first New York play. I am not nervous, but like, I want to be at optimum
Mhm.
kind of state. And she's like, well, I have an audition today and I slept for 17 minutes last night. So thanks. And then it's like he's making breakfast and he's eating like bran and like all this like weird health food. And at one point,
Yogurt and honey
yeah,
and raw something. I don't raw oats or
yes.
something.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, this isn't gonna work. You're too weird.
You're just weird.
And then we get to see Paula's audition. And it seems like it might go okay for a second because the director seemed like knows her from her previous work. So you're like, oh, cool. And then no, he still rejects her because she's too old. And it's
Yeah.
funny, she's so tired after doing the routine that he's like, we need someone younger. And she's like, younger. Okay, I'll work on that.
Yeah. And she's clearly, yeah, she's out of breath, she's out of shape. But I well, I mean, not that I know dancers, but you know better than I do. But knowing watching her go through the routine, and I'm sure she rehearsed it a lot of times, but it seemed she has the moves of a dancer. You know,
Yeah. Yeah,
there are
yeah.
people who know how to dance, and there are people who pretend to be dancers. So,
Yes. Yes. For sure, for sure. And then cut to Elliot, who's at like the first sort of read through for his play. So he's doing Richard III, which is like a very famous Shakespeare play. People, if you're not familiar with the play, you have heard like now's the winter of our discontent, my kingdom for a horse. Like you've heard these things. If you've ever heard those phrases, they're from Richard III.
and evidently he's playing the lead.
Yes, he's playing the lead. So like that's great. That's big. The director is a guy named Mark Bodine, who's played by the actor Paul Benedict, who I also recognized, and he was in probably I recognized him from The Jeffersons.
Yeah, I was going to say he played the neighbor.
Yes, and he was also on Sesame Street, some, I guess, in the early
Oh,
days of Sesame
okay.
Street. He's the number painter, apparently, according to the
Oh,
internet. But I think
uh,
I recognize him mostly from The Jeffersons because I watched The Jeffersons a lot when I was a kid. Nick at Night, shout out. But anyways, this director is has some very specific ideas about Richard III. So Richard III, for people who are not familiar with the actual literal person or the play, he was like physically disfigured. So usually people play him with like a limp or like a hump or like some combination of
right.
those things. And he's like, well, no, his sort of like impediment is not that, it's that he's obviously gay.
Well,
And
as he
Ellie,
put it, a raging homosexual
yes,
is
yes.
how he described him.
And Elliot's like, okay, I have been working on this part for like months now. So like what if we just do it like this way? And the director's like, nope, how about just try it my way? And then we'll go from there. And he's like, Elliot is trying to like read the lines, the Shakespearean English in like a gay voice. And he just like he's can I just can I like have a minute? Like she like can't do it. He can't do it. He's like, now is the winter of our discontent. Like he can't.
Each version gets worse. I mean, he tries it,
My kingdom for a horse. Like it's so we can't. He like is trying. He's like opening his mouth. He's like, uh, he just like can't do it.
yeah, it's
And so neither of their days are going well. We cut back to the apartment, and Lucy's trying to help Paula do sit-ups. She's supposed to do 60, and she gets through like 35, and she's like, I'm dead. I can't do it. And then Elliot brings a woman over, who a castmate, to
what
run
who's
lines.
playing Lady Anne.
Yes, so they're supposed to run lines. And he's like, he introduces her to Lucy, who's like in the kitchen, I guess. And then Lucy goes back to Paula, who's in the bath now. And Paula wants Lucy to write down like everything she sees him doing or like taking. So like if he eats any of their food, like Lucy's supposed to take notes. Lucy says he's cute, but she says he's kind of cute like a dog that no one wants, which is like a brutal read from a child.
But in a way, it kind of fits, don't you think? I mean, Richard Dreyfuss is not a particularly handsome man, I would say. I mean,
No,
no, but he's not that he's deformed or anything or any kind of but anyways, but
it did
uh,
make sense.
it
Yes.
did, yeah, it sort of
And
fits.
and then she also tells Paula that he brought this woman over, and she's all mad and goes to his room, and he's like, "Hello, yeah,
What? Yeah.
remember this is my apartment." But Paula has a job prospect. Her other dancer friend, who seems maybe closer to her age than like all the young people they're competing against, might have a
Hmm.
lead for them to get a job at like basically modeling cars at a car show. So they just like point to cars and like read facts about them. Elliot is still struggling with gay Richard III, like trying to do like the walk and the talking and
Well,
getting.
like he says, well, how far do you want me to go? And he says, well, don't give me Bette Midler, but don't be afraid to be bold. It's like, and you could, I mean, this is part of what like I liked about his performance was you could really see him trying to wrestle with it. It's
Yeah.
like this is a real struggle. It's like trying to do what the director wants because he's paying me, but I just know that this is like a bad idea.
Hmm. And isn't he right? He goes to the grocery store after rehearsal and he runs into Paula there and he sort of puts forth, like, why don't we split groceries? And she eventually agrees to it. But then they stop for him to buy wine and she's outside with the bags and she gets robbed. Like her purse gets stolen. And they knock over the groceries and all this stuff. And so she's then she's like mad he won't chase after the robbers who have fled in a car. He's
Or
like, they're in a car.
a speeding car.
Yeah. But then as they keep walking, then they see the car. And then he does confront them. And then like Paul is like, "Oh my God, it's a car." She's dropped her groceries. And then like they're holding him at knife point and he like manages to get away. And then like she's just like sadly in the road, just like trying to put all the spaghetti noodles the back in the box because they've spilled out. She's just crying because like they stole her bag that had all the money that she currently has.
Yeah, everything.
All the money she has to her name was in that bag and it's gone now. But they go home and make spaghetti, so they eat the spaghetti that was on the street. I guess they figure it's boiled, so it's fine. But they have dinner together, and it's very cute because Lucy is asking Elliot all kinds of questions about the other plays he's done. But also, she's very cute because she has that little kid like spaghetti sauce like mustache,
Yeah.
kind of like spaghetti sauce around her mouth. And she's very interested. She calls him classy. She was like, Tony wasn't classy. Elliot is classy. Um,
She says he has a way with words.
yes. And she wants to go to his opening night of his play, but Paula says no because it's a school night. And she's like, but we went to Tony's opening night on a school night.
Hmm.
After she goes to bed, Paula's like trying to figure out what to do money wise. And she offers Elliot the big bedroom for $50 per month. And he's like, well, no, because this is my apartment.
Yeah.
Um, and she's like,
Oh,
well,
but
will
she
you?
says like payable in cash right now.
Yes. Yes. And then she's like, okay, can you just lend me $50? And he's like, how about this? I will pay all the living expenses he's about to start getting paid like 200 something dollars a week. He'll pay all the living expenses until she gets a job. She just has to be nice to him, which like she seems to interpret as like a proposition. And then she gets mad. And then he's mad like I'm just trying to help you and you're like yelling at me.
It, she took it. to mean something else that he didn't mean to,
Right.
that
He
he didn't.
literally just meant be nice to me.
Yeah,
Like
she
be
took it as, like you
pleasant.
said, like as a sexual,
Yes. Be
trading
nice to
sexual
me.
favors.
Wink
Yeah,
wink.
wink, nod, nod,
Yeah. And he didn't. So
because he's a
we
decent guy.
he is. He doesn't come off that way at first. He's very like sarcastic and like making fun of her.
Yeah,
But at that time, but like you could tell too, like he was saying it in a
yeah,
sincere way. He
mm-hmm,
wasn't joking. He was like, you just have to be nice to me. Like
yeah.
we get to see more of him trying to figure out his Richard III, who
Oh my
like the
God,
director agrees to give him the hump. So he has the hump, but he's still doing the gay voice.
and sort of the mannerisms
Yes.
of a, and I don't mean
Yes.
that. I don't mean to
Right.
say
I
that
was
in a
gonna say, we say this like with quotes, right? The
yes,
stereotypical, like
it's
quote unquote gay voice, gay mannerisms.
right,
Like,
like what's the sort of feminine movements
yes, the
and
sort of
so on.
flamboyant, like Jack
Yeah,
on Will and Grace, like that.
exactly. So
I did write a note here. I like Paula's clothes, which we already talked about. And then here we get another moment of like closeness. So Lucy is sick and she can't sleep. And Paula asks Elliot to come help with like play his guitar, like help her meditate, like whatever, help her relax so she can go to sleep. And he comes right over. And while they're doing that, Paula also apologizes for the day before. And this is where she says she isn't used to the kindness of strangers. So
yeah,
she's like the opposite of of Blanche
Blanche.
Dubois. She's I guess she's used to people having ulterior motives, which makes sense, like in the sort of show business kind of milieu, I guess that's the case. So,
What's
but
been your experience, right? In your foray into show business, most people are
yeah,
jerks, and just it's everybody's got an angle,
yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
No, I will
like
say everyone on the Jeopardy program is very nice. But yeah, so she apologizes, and then it's kind of cute. He and Lucy both fall asleep, and she's like, "You can't sleep in bed with my daughter. Get up."
and he's out.
Yes, he does not get up.
He's like, yeah, because she starts to wake up and he just rolls over and just
Mhm.
like snores even later,
Yeah,
sleeping
she just
even.
moves the guitar out of the way.
Yeah. So
Um, and then it's time for his opening night. And I did note he said it was off Broadway, and I was like, "This is very off Broadway. It looks like they're in a basement."
what? How many people were in the audience? 50? I mean, it's. I
Yeah,
mean,
and half of them left.
uh, yes. Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
But
it's
I mean, it's
his.
a tiny theater, isn't it? I mean, look,
Hmm.
I've never been off Broadway, but I think the theaters are bigger than that, or maybe it was way off Broadway. So I don't know, but yeah, it did. It looked like a church basement or something. Like,
Because there was like pillars too, like in
yeah,
the
hey
way.
kids, let's put on a show.
Right. Like it was very, yeah, there were probably 50 chairs in there. But the play is not good. He's
Oh
got the
my God,
hump and he's doing the like quote unquote gay voice and mannerisms. And
the whole
it's,
costume, the shoes and
oh
stuff. I
my
mean,
God. Oh, they
it's
got like their legs out. Like they don't have, because usually like in Shakespearean stuff, they wear the sort of like little bloomer pants, but they have like the like tights or like
yeah,
leggings or whatever.
but it's almost like he has women's shoes on. They're. I mean,
Yes.
and the colors and stuff. And then he has makeup. I mean, not, and
Hmm.
I don't mean theatrical makeup. He has like
He's got like Elizabeth Taylor and Cleopatra makeup on.
makeup, yeah. And oh
But
my
yet,
God,
I remember like you could see all their like bare legs. And I was like, why
yeah.
am I seeing so many legs? But it's very bad. So
And he plays grab ass with one of the, with one of
yeah.
the, I mean, not, yeah, I guess as part of his character,
Yes.
you know,
But yeah, Lucy falls asleep.
yeah. And
Lots
like you
of people
said,
walk out.
walk out, they leave.
So they go see him. Paula and Lucy go see Elliot afterwards to try to just be like, "Oh, you did a good job." But they're trying to figure out like what to say because it's like I don't want to lie, but I don't want to be like that was terrible.
Well, Marsha Mason's kept saying, "No, I'm sure he just wants to be left alone." And Lucy's the one that said, "No, we at least should go back and say something to him."
Hmm.
So it's almost sometimes Lucy's the adult in the relationship as opposed to
Yes.
Marsha. But
Yeah, yeah, which is, as a mental health professional, it's not a good dynamic to have. It's called parentification, people.
there's
Uh,
a name for that.
yeah, it's because so many people have try to make their kids into little parents. But in this movie, it's very funny and precocious. So they go see him, and
Oh my God.
he knows it was bad.
It, it, we've seen despondent people. So in our line of
Yes,
work, he
that
is
was
despondent. He is
despondent.
he if he could jump out of a window.
Well, he almost tries later.
Well, yes, but yeah, it's again. I just think the look on his face just says everything, doesn't it? It just
Yeah,
it's
like
like,
he can't. I feel like usually if someone like sees a little kid trying to comfort them, they would like quirk a little bit of a smile, and he's just like, there's just nothing.
oh, I know. Yeah, it's like yeah, it's like he just saw a train wreck, and it was his
Hmm.
career.
Yeah,
But anyway,
but he comes home wasted, reading terrible reviews.
roaring drunk.
Yeah, he's just reading out loud like bad reviews, and eventually Paula like comforts him, and he's like, "Don't tell Lucy about the bad reviews." Which is kind of cute because it's like
Yeah.
I don't want this little kid to think less of me. Because you ever had a conversation they had at dinner? She was like, "Wow,
Oh
he's
yeah.
so well spoken and classy." She's like, "I don't want him to think bad things about me." But then the next morning, she's reading the New York Times, and then I love this part. She says, "Congrats." She goes to his room or whatever, and she says, "Congratulations," and he says, "For what?" And she's like, "I didn't know what else to say."
Also, like when he saw her reading the Times, he said to Paul, he said, "Why are you letting your child read pornography?"
Oh man. Well, Elliot is now without a job. So Paula's like, well, hey, can you help with Lucy? Because now Paula has this car show job.
Right.
Like, can you help, like, whatever, get her home from school and stuff? And then she is working at the car show, giving a spiel about a Subaru when Elliot and Lucy show up, and she, like, forgets what she's supposed to be saying. Like, she's like, the windshield is clear. You can see through it. Just like the windows are also clear.
And the back glass, if you happen to be looking out the back.
Yeah.
It's, the
It's like
tires are optional.
that line made me laugh. Yeah, no, this movie made me laugh out loud like several
Oh,
times.
well, good, good. I'm
Yeah.
glad. So,
Mostly when Lucy's saying stuff.
yeah.
The Subaru reps are mad. Elliot's like, I had to drop her off because he has a job. But as he's leaving, he does put in a good word for the with the Subaru guys. He's like, that woman that you had selling the Subarus, she was great. I definitely well, he says he's like a rep from something, I think.
He says I'm in the taxi business and I'm looking
Yes.
to get a new fleet next year. He
Mhm.
goes at the end of the week. I'd like to come back and talk to you guys, but she really made me like your product. So it
Yeah.
was
And they're
like
like, oh, good,
again
good.
he does her a solid,
Yes, exactly. That's what
and
I was
didn't have
thinking of.
to.
That's what I was thinking of when we were talking earlier. Like, he doesn't necessarily do like the big things, like the Mr. Darcy things, but he does small things
Hmm.
that are really like meaningful and helpful.
Right, yeah,
Like
because he
when he,
knows that she kind of screwed up, a little bit,
yeah,
and I like where he said, he goes, maybe my Richard III wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen.
yes. And then, Lucy and Paula are talking about him, and Lucy's like, why don't you just like say you like, Paula's like, stop trying to make me like him. And she's
Yeah.
like, well, you should just like him. There's a girl, what is like the girl in her school says he has charisma.
Oh, what is her girlfriend's name? She says, the one with the glasses.
Cynthia.
Cynthia. Okay.
Cynthia says he's got charisma. But yeah, so Elliot comes home late that night and he has a black eye. And I think she's like, what happened to your eye? And he said it stopped a fist from going through my
Through my
face.
face. And he has a beaut of a shiner.
He
But
does. He put a veal like cutlet on it at first,
yeah,
and then he takes it down, and it's purple.
oh, can we go to how he got the black eye?
I don't remember.
So, well, he told her he had a job, but he's in,
Oh
and she's
yes.
an acting job, and he said, "Well, it's in the entertainment field," and that's all he would say.
I totally messed up and skipped the thing. So he's handing out flyers outside of a strip club to
He's
advertise a strip club.
he's the door guy. I mean,
Yeah.
and so I'll give you my expert. uh, it looked like every strip club that I'd ever seen in downtown Baltimore on the inside. They all look like that. But every strip club does have a guy out front, like trying to get people to come in. So it's the door guy. That's what we are. We always say it's the door guy, and they're handing out
Yeah.
these little flyers that, girls, girls, girls. Because two guys come up and what kind of show is it? Oh, it's filthy. It's awful. It's terrible. It's raunchy. So, although when you go inside, you notice there were women inside with dates
Hmm.
and stuff. So,
Yeah, yeah. Ladies still go to strip clubs sometimes, you know.
just
Appreciate the artistry. Uh, Although I do feel like these days there's a lot more like acrobatics.
it really is. Back in my day.
It's just a woman's in a standing there like swaying,
It
kind
would,
of.
well, that they would dance. I mean, they would,
Yeah.
there were, and some of them had like, I won't say gimmicks, but had acts, like,
Hmm. Hmm.
so, and some of them did strip tease, where
Hmm.
it was like the old, like, Gypsy Rose Lee thing.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I skipped that point about
No, no,
him
no. I was just good.
handing
Yes.
out flyers for the erotic dance show.
Yes.
Um,
Girls, girls, girls.
yeah, so she's helping him with his black eye, and then he's kind of like hitting on her.
Yeah.
It's like the knock to his head has unlocked something for him because they go in the bathroom and then
He's getting a little handsy.
he's getting like handsy, like follows her and she's like no, and then he kisses her and then he starts talking about how like she's been driving him bananas and all this stuff and like he loves her nose. And it's funny because before, like when she thought he was propositioning her, he was like you're not all that, basically.
Right.
Like you look fine, but like
You ain't, yeah, you ain't keeping me up at nights, is what he said.
yes. But
And
then now he's
evidently,
like, she really is, and she's resisting because she doesn't want any more romance.
especially with another actor.
Another actor.
Actors, those actors.
And then the next day after her car show, there's a her friend tells her that the like Maserati rep, the hot dude from Maserati, like there's an after party and he wants to make sure she'll be there.
I like how
And
she says he smells better than either one of us.
yes. She's like, come on, he's really cute, but she's like, no, I want to go home and try to see Lucy before she goes to bed. But when she gets there, she's already asleep, and there's a note that says like, go. It says like she's asleep, like give her a kiss, and then
Oh, come up to the roof.
yes. And then I think the note on her says, "This is the sleeping child. Meet me on the roof. Like wear something. Come
Formal.
up to the roof dressed formally for a private party."
Yeah.
And he's up there. He's like in a suit, and he's doing like his like sort of like Fred Astaire
Humphrey
impressions or
Bogart,
Humphrey Bogart. Yeah, he's doing all of his like classic.
because he looks like Rick he's got the white dinner jacket and,
Yeah.
and the
Yes.
fedora and,
Hmm. He's very excited because he got a job with this like improv like theater thing, and he's talking about it and she kisses him while he's talking about it, which is always that's also such like a rom-com thing where people like kiss each other in the middle of a sentence, which I feel like would be annoying in real life. Like don't interrupt me. Let me finish.
you've never done that?
I don't know that I have.
Oh, okay. Or and you can tell me some of my business. I was just curious.
No,
So,
no, I'm like truly just like I don't not that I can recall.
or no one's ever done it to you. So,
No, I think that would annoy me.
I just wondered. So,
Let me finish my damn sentence.
I've done it. a couple of times. And see, I think I'm 50-50. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm batting 500. So
Okay, that's not bad. But yeah, then they sleep together, and the next morning, Lucy knows this and she is upset because she says something like about how she didn't get a lot of sleep. She was like, I guess no one here did.
mhm.
And then she leaves to go to school. And Paul is like, Lucy is just scared the same thing's going to happen. Um, and Paul is like, you know what? We should just like forget this because I don't want to make things
Mhm.
bad for her. And this is a good scene, I think, for Richard Dreyfuss too, because he is mad that she's trying to blow him off, and she's trying to storm away and he won't let her. Like, she goes outside and he goes out of the fire escape and they're still yelling at each other. Then he comes down the fire escape and then he just like grabs her and like pulls her back basically.
Which
But
would
like,
not fly today.
no. But the dialogue in that scene, like his performance, I think is also that's a really good
It is.
scene for him too.
Agreed. Yeah. And she's good in it too because she gives as good as she gets.
Yes. Yes.
This is where I think, yeah, she comes into her own a little bit here too. The coming back at him and stuff, and
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
just listening to someone else talk, but she's like giving it back.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he goes to pick up Lucy from school in a horse-drawn carriage. And she's like still pissed. Like she's like, you wasted your money.
Mm.
Oh, and also as they're leaving the school though, that other little girl, Cynthia, is there. And he's like, I heard you said I had charisma. And Cynthia's like, Lucy, why would you tell him that? You're such a liar. You're not supposed to say that.
I'll get you.
It's really funny.
It is.
But Elliot tells Lucy, kind of love. He's like, "Listen, I want your approval. Like, I just want you to say that you like me. Just admit that you like me, because I am nuts about you, and I'm nuts about your mom." And eventually, she warms up, and she can't like kind of keep it in because she does like
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
So
The
she,
10-year-old kid comes out, and she
mm-hmm,
she kind of breaks down, and yeah, she
yeah,
admits that she really does like him.
mm-hmm, and so they switch rooms. So he's moving into the big bed with uh Paula, and Lucy's moving back to the other room. And they're like painting and putting up wallpaper. So they're like really kind of settling in, which also it's like you're only subletting this place for like 3 months.
What that, and I'm thinking, don't you have to get permission to paint the apartment? Or, but I guess it's like, I guess not,
Yeah, but it's also like you have to give this up in like 2 months.
or something. Yeah. But they're talking about, like, I guess a few months go by. Maybe he's paying the rent now, and it because he's working, at the improv group. I guess he's making decent money, but yeah, because she's buying new furniture because she said she always dreamed of having her own living room set or whatever, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So I think it's funny where they showed like her with the painter and they're trying different colors and stuff, and then because she goes, "What color should we paint the walls?" And
Mm-hmm.
and Elliot, like most guys would, he's like going, "I don't, yeah, I don't care." It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it also looks like she's like he's painting and she's like no. So then she
yeah,
cuts as she's painting.
yeah, exactly.
Then he says he's like going to work and he says something about leave Tuesday morning open for blood tests, which is that was that a thing you had to do to get married?
Had to do it first time. Yes,
Okay.
yeah, I did the first time I got married in 1979. Yep, you
Okay.
had to get you
You
had
had
to
to
get
do
a
it
blood
to prove
test.
that you're not related. Is that
You
no, that I'm not joking.
No, with two things. One, you're not related, and two, you didn't have an infectious disease.
Okay. You can't marry someone if you have an infectious disease?
Not in West Virginia, you couldn't. So, and I'm guessing it was that way everywhere. You had to divulge you have what your if you had any diseases or any kind. So, but yeah, you had to have
Interesting.
a. I don't remember. I didn't have to do it the second time I got married, but I did
Hmm.
have to do it the first time I got married.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I thought because I just wrote for marriage question mark because I was like, I
yeah,
don't.
yeah, you had to get
That's the
before you
only
could get a marriage license.
because he says it and then she closes the door and you hear her squeal. So I was like, it must be for marriage
Yeah.
because I don't know what's so exciting about a blood test.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we see him a little bit at his improv gig, which seems to be going well. Like they get a lot of cheers. They all look very excited. The vibe is very different from Richard III. So that's nice. Um, and then a director comes to see him. The director's name is Oliver Fry. So like in the movie, in the universe of this movie, he's immediately recognizable.
Yeah, because
Like
like
Elliot sees him and he's like, "Oh, you're Oliver Fry." And he's like, "Yes, I am." He is played by an actor who's not credited for this role, but his name's Nicole,
Nicole Williamson.
uh, who was in various movies. He was in Return to Oz, which I have seen. He
Oh
plays
yeah,
Merlin in Excalibur.
and he's
Uh,
in Robin and Marion. He plays Little John to Sean Connery's Robin Hood.
okay.
He's
So,
I've always admired him as an actor. I've
mhm.
always liked him, but especially, and he'll show up in a couple of my selections.
Nice, nice. So,
Yeah, I was surprised he was uncredited, but he is only on the screen for a moment. But he's,
yeah.
he looks very British, which he is, but he's
Hmm.
always so very distinguished, and he has a nice suit. And I do like the little play of words with them,
Hmm.
about, oh, he goes, I come to ask you about, how do you feel about a movie? And he goes, to be in one. He goes, well, we could go see one, but I feel like working's much more fun.
Yes, yes. That was a funny little bit of dialogue. Because like Elliot is like agog. Like he's like starstruck, like
He's
jaw on the floor.
like Oliver freaking
Certainly this man
Stone
is not
Fry.
coming to ask me to be in a movie, except he is.
Right.
So Paula arrives home later and Lucy's outside and she's like, Lucy, why are you outside? And she's like, at least we can get a letter this time. And so it's like, oh no. So Elliot is inside packing and he is so excited. He's going to Seattle to film this movie, and Paula is really quiet and sad. And he finally kind of breaks out of his sort of bubble and realizes how upset she is. And he's like, listen, it's only 4 weeks. It's fine. I'll be back. And she's like, but you're taking everything. Like, you're taking like all of your stuff. So, like, it doesn't seem like you're going to come back. And she's upset. And he's like, okay, fine, I won't go. And she's like, wait, really? And he's like, no, of course I'm going to go. But you gotta.
I like that. He goes like, of course I'm gonna go.
Yes. But
It's
he's like,
Oliver freaking Fry,
yes. But he's like, you gotta trust me. Like, he's basically like, you can't hold what all these other guys did against me. I didn't do
I
anything.
love the line. He says, I hate all those guys who walked out on you because
Hmm.
I'm paying the price.
Yes. Yes. Which is like, that's, oof. Listen, if you all knew about my day job, story of my life, everybody's relationship baggage just spills
Comes
on the
home.
next person.
I was gonna say, just comes home to roost, doesn't it?
Yep. Yep. But so he leaves and it's like they're all devastated. But then later, he calls from the phone booth. It's raining again.
We've
He calls from the phone
come
booth. We've
full
come full
circle.
circle. He calls and says, get dressed, you're coming with me. My plane was delayed. Like, I cashed in the first class ticket for 2 coach tickets. And she's like, what are we going to do with Lucy? Which was my question, too. I was like, wow, you're just like F Lucy then. But he's like, she can stay with Donna, which is her friend who got her the job.
And even Lucy says, "Oh, that's fine. Donna will take care of me."
Yeah, she's good. But then through their conversation, it becomes clear that he actually did not take everything. He left his guitar. So she's like, oh my God, you are going to come back.
Because he always said that that's what he used to relax and stuff. So
Yeah, he can't sleep. That's how
he
he
can't sleep
goes to
without it.
sleep.
So if he was going to leave, yeah, if he was going to leave, not saying he couldn't get another guitar, but he wouldn't have
Yeah.
left his guitar.
Yes. So, and that's the end of the movie.
Well,
That's
she doesn't go. She says, "Oh no,
she decides
just
not
the
to go.
fact that you asked me to go is what I needed."
Yes.
And
Yes.
but you go and then do your movie, And because she goes,
Yes.
I'm going to be spending, I love it. I'm going to be spending your money on our apartment. So it's
Yes.
like,
Which is still again is not your apartment, you're subletting. Tony's coming back.
well, maybe.
Anyways, but
Anyways,
but yeah, and
yeah.
then she's like standing out in the rain with his guitar, and he's like, "You're getting my guitar rusty. Please stop.
Yeah,
Go
so
inside." Yeah, so
and
that's
and it closes with the theme song, the Goodbye Girl from David Gates, who of the group Bread, which was that was a big group back in the 70s. So
mhm.
um,
I've heard of bread.
yeah, he went on to have a solo career, I think, afterwards. But it was sort of like that was like the romantic music and stuff like that.
Hmm.
If a picture paints 1,000 words. Then it'd be I forget all the other songs that they sang, but they were all kind of schmaltzy and stuff. But
Hmm.
they were what we considered our slow dance songs when we
Yeah,
went to dances. So, but
yeah,
anyway,
I could see
um,
that. So, but yeah, it's that's the end. I really enjoyed it. I
well,
thought that
good.
the performances were good. I think that that is what makes a romantic comedy, honestly. Like I think well, a good script, I think that like I can suspend disbelief easily
Hmm.
for a rom-com, right? Because some of these things is like, well, that would just never happen, right? Like or
Right,
whatever. But like if I can
like
believe
Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen.
no, actually they had really good chemistry, so I actually like that one. It's like
They did.
I need good performances and chemistry and I need like good dialogue because I think the romantic comedy has to have like good dialogue.
Agreed.
Like there has to be a good like you said repartee, like back and
Hmm.
forth between the two people, the two leads,
And it
or
has
else
to
it's
sound
just
real.
yes, it has to sound real. And part of that is comes down to the actors. And you do have to like believe that like there's chemistry. And again, I think that can happen with people like Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen who like on its face it's like what these two, but then like if they can have good chemistry and you can believe it, then it's like
Hmm.
okay. I think a lot of modern rom-com like there aren't really we've really fallen off rom-com wise, I
I
think.
would agree. Yes, I would
Because
agree.
like the 90s and like early 2000s were like great with rom-coms. And obviously you have this one and I'm sure there's some in the 80s, but I think of like Pretty Woman being a good one. And then you get like um My Big Fat Greek Wedding, you get like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days,
What was the one
um
with John Cusack where he say anything?
Say Anything. Yes.
To me, those yeah, those stand out. So,
Mm-hmm.
but you're right. It's you know, the, and I'm not going to sit here and try to pick through like bad ones, but yeah, there's the ones yeah that I think yeah that are good are the ones where the characters are believable.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it's that the chemistry is good. You could see that regardless of what the people look like or whatever or their backgrounds, that if they fit together, they fit together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like that there's some sort of like interplay between them
Mm-hmm.
such that this seems like it could be a real thing. Like I think even in like Bridget Jones's Diary.
Excellent, yeah, because you're right. Some the plots are pretty much the same going all the way back, to Shakespeare,
Mm-hmm.
or even before that. It's like it's either jilted lovers or opposites or enemies become lovers
Mm-hmm.
and
Or like
stuff
there's a
like it.
love triangle.
Right, out of, but there's only so many plots that they all can be reworked. But it depends on how it's presented and stuff. And then in this case, like I said, I liked it because of the performance by him, but also the interplay between the two of them. The
Mm-hmm.
snappy, witty. It was like you could picture someone in real life being that way, especially an actor or and a dancer
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. People in show business being maybe jaded about relationships, but then deciding or realizing that hey, maybe this is the right one. So,
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's actually a really good like setting for it because it's an inherently like unstable
oh gosh,
life.
yeah,
right? Like, uh,
It's kind of a running joke in it, Hollywood
mm-hmm.
marriages or showbiz
Yeah.
marriages, you know.
And like just keeping a job, right? You gotta, so that's like, to some extent, you gotta, if someone offers you a job on the other side of the country, it's like, well, you have to do it.
Right. Yeah. Especially if someone that's, famous and recognizes you, if this is like going to be your big break or whatever it may be, it's,
Mm-hmm.
like, that, all of a sudden you get this opportunity. Like he said, he goes, I've spent my whole life waiting, working towards this. And now that it's
Mm-hmm.
here, you're right. You can't throw that away.
Right. You can't not do that. But
Right.
it
At
also
least
doesn't
try.
mean I'm
Yeah,
blowing you off like those other
exactly.
people did.
Exactly. He said it like he said it's 4 weeks, but it was what $2,000 a week. And you think about that kind of money back then.
Mm-hmm.
If their apartment was costing $200 a month,
Yeah.
and,
Like
and he was making 2,000 a week for for 4 weeks. That's
he's a billionaire.
exactly. So, but anyway, so well, I'm glad you liked the movie. So,
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. This is like I said, I love like a rom-com, so
hmm
this is right up my alley. I love a rom-com, and as we've talked about on this podcast many times, like some good, fast, like snappy dialogue always
yep.
gets me.
Well,
Always
good.
gets me. As someone who's like an aspiring screenwriter, maybe one day, like that's it's always an achievement to be able to like get dialogue that sounds so like natural and quick. And because that's what one of the things they say, like when you're an actor, like you can tell the quality of the writing by how easy it is to like memorize.
Oh, I didn't. Oh,
Because
I did.
sometimes when it's like harder to like get down and
Mm,
memorize, it's because it's like clunky or weird. You know what I mean? It like doesn't flow well. But like
yeah.
if it flows really well, it's easier to put it
Remember.
together. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, it kind of makes sense like when you think about it. But like it's I did one play that was like really hard to remember because it was very strange.
It
But
was odd dialogue.
it was. It truly was. It took me so long to memorize it. But I did my
Was it?
best. I was like, I'm gonna be faithful to like the words that this person wrote because like this
Yeah.
was their effort. But it was really hard because I was like, who talks like this?
Wasn't in Klingon, was it?
It wasn't.
Oh, okay. So just saying.
It was allegedly in English.
Allegedly.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's always something that you like strive for. So that's why I take acting class too, so you can be on both sides of it.
Well, and it's. I'm glad. It's nice hearing from you. Who has gone into that, try to learn that sort of thing and stuff, that you appreciated this movie. For me, it was to me it was a good movie, and it was a fun movie, and it's one of those movies. It's not on TV as much as it used to be,
Mm-hmm.
but certainly it used to be on a lot in
Mm-hmm.
the '90s and stuff. And I only recall that because I just remember whenever it came on TV, I would always if I flipped around and I found it, I would watch it. So
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
I just enjoy it. So, and it I guess like Marsha Mason said, I'm a sucker for romance. I do. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
romantic at heart. So
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. I think so. I think I don't necessarily feel like I that like bears out in my real life, but like I do just like love a movie where two people just have good chemistry and you can just believe it and like root for them.
yeah.
Like what's better than that? It's great.
Or when somebody makes either a small gesture, or even like like the date he planned for them, he
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to spend. It wasn't at a big fancy expensive restaurant or anything
Yeah.
like that. But the effort he put into it, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's where she saw that. That
Yes. I also love that part because they're kissing and it starts raining. She's like, "Oh, let's keep dancing in the rain." And he's like, "No, my pizza's getting wet."
yeah, so,
So I like that they set up the table like just inside the door so they
yeah,
still have the rain. But yeah, yeah, I think that's the kind of stuff that makes like a rom-com good too, that it's not just like I think we always think of the things like you mentioned John Cusack and Say Anything. We think of the boombox.
yeah,
But
and
I like things like the small things like that. Those are the
yeah,
sort of moments of like in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days when she like plays cards with Matthew McConaughey's family. like that, those kinds of things.
Ooh, look at you pulling it. I didn't. I thought I was the only one that liked that movie.
I love that movie. It's on my list.
Oh, that's great. That'll be one that we'll enjoy together then. So, okay, yeah,
Yes. Yes,
yeah.
for sure, for sure. No, I think that's another one that I
Ooh,
think of.
Matthew McConaughey may creep up the most watched
He
list.
might. He
I was getting,
might. Yes. Actually, on that note, I will share with our listeners that I have finished the list. I haven't added the people from this movie. So,
uh-oh.
well, this will put the only thing is it's going to put Richard Dreyfuss on this list because right now he's
He's
only
at
been in one movie that we've talked
right, but
about.
now he's at two.
So he'll be at two. So I can just add
And then
him.
and that'll grow, just to let you know, because
Yes.
he's in one more of my movies at
And he's
least.
in one of mine.
So there you go. So he's going to be,
So for our listeners, just so you know, right now at the top of our actor leaderboard, I haven't done the directors and writers yet, but
uh,
at the top of our actor leaderboard is Denzel Washington. He's been in four of the movies we've discussed so far.
ooh,
And just for transparency purposes, I broke down like every movie. So there have been a couple episodes where we've talked about two movies, like when we did The Manchurian Candidate or we did The Bishop's Wife and The Preacher's Wife. So I looked at each movie individually. So Denzel Washington is leading with four, and then we have a tie. We have five actors who have been in three movies. So we have Donald Sutherland has been
mm,
in three, Harrison Ford has been in three, Tom Skerritt has been in three, Gene Hackman, and James Earl Jones. A couple of them, Harrison Ford and James Earl Jones, are on there because of Star Wars, because we've done
Star
two Star
Wars.
Wars movies. We'll see. And then there's a ton of people that have been in two. So I'm not going to read.
Boy, what a bunch of nobodies we picked to watch.
Right. Right. There's
Gosh,
like,
did those guys ever? Did they ever have a career? Did any
right.
of those people ever have a career?
Truly. We have like 30 actors who have been in two. So I'm
Oh
not
my
going to read
goodness!
them. Yeah.
Oh goodness
So
gracious!
I'm interested as we do more movies, how like those people move up, which of them shift around. So
So maybe if any of our listeners care to make any predictions about who's going to come out, and not that we're winding up, our broadcast, our podcast or anything, but if you guys want to do it maybe by calendar year at the end of this year,
hmm
who's going to top out, that won't influence our selection of movies, though. I can tell you that for
no, we
sure.
both have long lists already, so we don't have any
Exactly.
room for
So
suggestion.
yeah, so
Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, so I completed the list though. So now I will just have to add to it. So that'll
Well,
be nice.
kudos to
And
you. Thank you for all your hard work. So I know you have a lot of irons in the fire, so I appreciate you doing that as well. So
yeah, sometimes it's nice. It's fun. It's nice to make a little spreadsheet. I like a little data moment every now and then.
okay.
Um, But yeah, well, anything else you want to say about The Goodbye Girl?
If you haven't seen it, and if you're in a relationship with someone, and I think it's a sweet movie to watch
hmm
with someone that you care about, if you like, or maybe if you're maybe a little down, or maybe it's a good movie, a kind of a pick me up maybe then as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I would
um,
I would add, I think if you like rom-coms, this is definitely one to watch. I
hmm
think that it's not always in the conversation as like I've never really heard it in the conversation as like one of the iconic, like I think people talk a lot about like Moonstruck and When Harry Met Sally and like Pretty Woman and stuff like that, but I do think that, and Notting Hill, those kinds of things. But
yeah, and
I
those are
think
all
that
good.
they are all good. I think that this should be in the conversation.
I
So,
agree wholeheartedly,
uh,
and always have, and I think a couple of the things you brought out about the box office receipts and so on and so forth, but just even makes, and the director, it not only hit this movie but other movies that they've done,
mhm.
yeah, so big string of successes. So
Yeah. So it's free on Tubi, folks.
I actually recorded it off of Turner Classic Movies a while back, because during Oscar week, if any of y'all have Turner, or Oscar month, I'll put it that
Mm-hmm.
way, this movie always shows up. I mean, this is
Mm.
one of the perennials that. So I knew that at one point I was going to, have it as my selection. So last February, when it was this past February when it was on, there's a bunch of them I recorded off Turner Classic Movies. One, because they're uncut
Mm.
and there's no ads.
Oh, nice.
But so there's I have quite a selection of ones that I knew. Even if I could watch them on other things, I just know Turner Classic Movies will, when they show them, that it's in its original unaltered form or anything like that. Plus, there's usually a little commentary by whoever's the host is that evening,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's Ben Mankiewicz or whoever it may be. So,
Nice, nice. Well,
yeah.
yeah.
So,
So if you haven't seen it and you like rom-coms, I think check it out for sure. Well, thank you all for listening. Please be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening to this so you can get all of our episodes delivered directly to you every Monday when they come out. Please leave a rating, review, comment, hopefully a nice one, or
you
we will be playing guitar in earshot of your bedroom at all hours of the night, and
and
then meditating with
uh,
chanting in the
chanting
morning.
and incense.
Yes. You can follow us on Instagram at Some of Our Parts Pod. There you can find all the movies that we've talked about so far. Maybe I'll even start sharing some information about who our leading actors are. We also share whatever else kind of comes up. I recently shared some clips from Spice World that came across Instagram. So we also do little previews of what's to come. So check that out on Instagram. And with that, bye bye.
Take care.